Howdy do Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 223.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. And I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect. But actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
I could retire and do that.
I'm the doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. Yeah.
Oh, we made it online, mate. We've had a few technical gremlins before kicking off today, haven't we?
Just a few.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been an interesting morning. Who let the cybermats into my damn TARDIS?
I know. We're here.
Yes. Welcome aboard the TARDIS, everybody. Welcome back for episode 223. New listeners, welcome aboard, waving from behind the microphone. Remember to subscribe to our show. Head over to any podcast network that you normally listen on and just do a search for us. We're normally there. The big one being iTunes. Just do a search of the Big Blue Box podcast. The Big Blue Box. It's a mouthful, isn't it, mate? The Big Blue Box.
Yeah, gosh. He's saying that because I was doing a little outro to a video the other day, and I must have done about at least 10 to 15 takes trying to get my words out. But it wasn't actually the Big Blue Box bit I was stumbling on up until that one take. So I posted this on my Twitter. For some reason, the one take where I actually managed to get the full ending out and get all my words out. I then got to the bit where I say, and don't forget to listen to the Big Blue Box podcast, and I completely forgot the name of it. I went, don't forget to listen to the Doctor Who. Oh, damn. And I was like so close to like getting to the end of it. Yeah. It is a mouthful, but I'm so rehearsed. It normally just flows off the tongue, but
normally. But it was funny. That little outtake, it was funny.
Yeah, a little outtake. Did a little Christmas outtake video, I think.
Yes. Coming up in today's show, we've got quite light on news and merch, just one of each to go through, and then on to our review of the Sarah Jane Adventures, The Mark of the Berserker. Berserker.
What is a berserker?
Somebody goes berserk.
Yeah. Actually, that guy does go berserk as well, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a good name. It's the right name for those people.
Yeah, so on to the part of the show where, unfortunately, this week we're going to be quite anticlimactic, really. Just normally we go through, what have you been up to, mate? What have you been up to, mate? Anything Doctor Who related. But I think we've both just had a very, very quiet time of it last week.
Yeah, I haven't done much at all. I've been just literally editing videos, and I went out to the cinema yesterday to see Captain Marvel, which was okay. But yeah, I haven't done anything Doctor Who related this week. So I feel like I need to start a new book because I just finished the Scratchman, which I really enjoyed. And so I love that feeling. I don't know about you. I love the feeling of actually closing the last page of the book and being like, finished it. And then, so I need to pick a new Doctor Who book to to read, I think. But yeah, I haven't even done any Doctor Who reading. I've got a Doctor Who magazine sat on the side there that hasn't even been opened yet, and I don't know, just don't know where the week's gone. Really, got all these things to do, just not enough time to do them.
I read you.
Yeah.
Same as me, mate. I haven't watched any Doctor Who. I haven't read any Doctor Who. Just been doing other stuffs.
I tell you what, I'm looking forward to that, because we were saying just before we started recording that season 18 is finally due out on Monday, and it looks like it might actually get released, because it's gone back a few times. The release date's been held back, but a few people have had the money go out of their account, yourself included. So it looks like it's on its way, and that's gonna be a great set to keep you occupied, because there's excuse me hours and hours of extras on that.
Yes.
So yeah.
No, I'm hoping. Yeah. So the monies, like you said, have left the account, so it should be en route.
Yeah,
hoping.
I just can't wait for that set. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's great. I mean, it's I've still not heard anything about the other or the next release in this range of the special edition complete box sets. We keep hearing sort of conflicting rumors. We don't really do rumors, but we keep hearing it's either series 10 or 26.
Yeah, we've seen a few little things pop up on Twitter, and we like Matthew Sweet filming outside Unit HQ from 3 Doctors, so maybe that season. And what was the other one we saw? I think McCoy one's been rumoured, McCoy's Last Era possibly, but I do love the sets. I can't wait for season 18 to turn up. And the timing's great, because my other half will be going away with work, so I'll have the house to myself, and I'll indulge in the whole box set. So I'm looking forward to that. I've got Macra Terror.
Oh, you got that on Saturday, haven't you?
Got that coming up on Saturday. That's a showing at the BFI, like a premiere of it. So I'm quite looking forward to that as well. I mean, I don't know much about that story, so in many ways it's going to be like watching it for the first time for me, because I've never listened to the audio, I haven't read the book, so it's kind of new to me. I'm not I mean, I love animation, but when it comes to Doctor Who being animated, obviously it's always a bit of a sort of double-edged sword, because I love the fact they do it, but it kind of brings home that there's less chance that we're going to see the real thing. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I know there's been a bit of stuff kicking off, because they've had to cut a scene from it that was too costly or too time consuming to make or something. The rough and tumble scene it's called, I believe, where the Doctor gets a makeover, and a lot of fans were looking forward to that scene, but it's been cut apparently, because they just didn't have time or money to do it. But that's a shame. So no doubt there'll be a bit of booing at the BFI, but I am looking forward to that screening. That should be good, and that's this Saturday, so I'll be able to give you a little report back next week on how that went and what it was like, and
that'd be cool.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Cool. So hopefully next week we'll have a bit more to reflect on that we've been doing Doctor Who related, but just a bit slow at the moment.
Because you're not coming to Macra, are you? And I agree with you on this. With the ticket, normally with the BFI events, you just pay for the ticket and go and watch on the big screen. Occasionally, like this one, you're forced to buy the DVD, so you get the ticket price is twice the price as normal, but you get the DVD of it included, which sounds great, but me and you don't really want the DVD. We want the Blu-ray, which sounds a bit snooty, but we do. Yeah, if you're given the choice, you'd have the Blu-ray or the Steelbook. So it's kind of forcing something on you don't really want. So I understand why you're not going. And it's released the following week, so you'll be able to just watch it on your big old TV at home, won't you?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, shall we land our time-travelling device?
Yes. Got some news, have we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jodie Whittaker has been offered the freedom of the City of London.
My word.
That sounds very important, doesn't it?
Does she get a big key, a big gold key to the city?
Yeah, I hope so for that title.
Yeah.
It's a long one.
I'd wear it around my neck if I got one. I'd just walk around with it. It's in my big gold key.
Yeah.
Like a medallion. Shirt open.
Even if you were not in London, you'd still wear it.
Oh, I'd wear it everywhere. Parties.
Because you never know when you might need to go to London.
Yeah. Where's the... Yeah.
So this thing, the freedom of the City of London is this thing that's been around for donkey's years, and they sort of hand it out to... They hand it out to people who have... I think it's either... years ago, it's been around for hundreds of years. I think they used to hand it out for like business people and tradespeople back in the day, like hundreds of years ago. But then since then, in modern times, it's sort of evolved into, it's kind of like people that make big contributions and achievements and stuff like that. You know, so they honour people with the freedom of the city, if you like. Jodie Whittaker is one of 100 women who are going to receive this to commemorate. It's basically the centenary of the Representation of the People Act 1918. It's all very proper and official.
Yeah.
So the Court of Common Council, the City of London's corporation's top decision-making body, has today, they sent out the final seal of approval on the freedoms, paving the way for the ceremonies to take place at Guildhall over the coming months. So we don't know exactly when Jodie's going to be given the giant key, but it's coming up imminently. And last year, the City Corporation, they agreed to mark 100 years of female suffrage with the Award of Freedom by inviting members of the Common Court Council and their colleagues to nominate candidates. So I'm assuming that all of the big hype and everything that Jodie's done recently with Doctor Who and her acting career and so on, yeah, she's a prominent female figure, essentially, in, you know, the world of drama and TV and stuff. So, but it's not just that. So nominees are drawn from a range of backgrounds, but all of them have a connection to the city in some way, apparently.
Right.
So the freedom of the city is believed to have begun back in the 1200s and enables recipients to carry out their trade. And today people are nominated or apply for the freedom because it offers them a link with the historic City of London and one of its ancient traditions. The freedom is also offered to individuals by the City of London to help celebrate a significant achievement or to pay tribute to their outstanding contribution to London life or their public life. So basically, Jodie Whittaker has been offered this because of her contribution to, I'm assuming, the arts. And because Doctor Who is connected to London in some way, I assume, over the years. Yes. So there we go.
Yeah. It seems like she's just getting going, though, doesn't it? It's not... I mean, I know she's done a few things, but I don't know. It seems a bit like when they used to give them "This Is Your Life." They do it just at the start of their career, and you think, oh, it's almost like they're saying you're over, you know. But I mean, she's done some great stuff. But I'm thinking, yeah, you know, it seems like to me, it feels like she's still quite a new name on the block in terms of a household name. But well, yeah, it's great for her. So what does she actually? What does it bring with it? Can she? You know, like I was joking earlier about wandering around for Big Key, but what does she? Are there any benefits to this, or is it just like a very prestigious title?
No, she can't actually do anything with it. I mean,
she can't just walk into any building and say, "I've got the freedom of the city."
There is probably some kind of legislation somewhere that enables her to have something that goes. Well, there must be something. I'm guessing, but no, she can't just walk into, you know, a bar and say, "I'd like a gin and tonic." They ask her the money, she gets the key out, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry about it then." I don't think it's like that, but
see, I'd be straight into Harrods, into the bar at the top. Yeah, give me a bottle of that expensive champagne. I've got this key.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. Yeah,
that's why I haven't been given one.
I mean, that's fascinating though to find out if it does actually come with anything,
any perks.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's just a sort of a symbolic meaning overall. Right. It just means that you have a connection with the City of London, and that's your lot.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
So good news for Jodie, though. It's another thing to add to the old list, the old CV.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's all we got for news.
Yes.
So nice one, Jodie. Moving on to some merch. Shall we get our metal buddy and see what he's got?
Yeah. Oh, what's he wearing? Looks like he's got some funky T-shirt on. Get him in.
Let's go.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Forbidden Planet, you know. are improving their T-shirt game, which is good because you and I often complain that Forbidden Planet, just doesn't have anything recently added for Doctor Who. Whenever you go in any of the Forbidden Planet stores, it's the same old merch, shelves and shelves of Titans and Funko Pops. And
they did have that. The last T-shirt was that one with a cat Doctor Who T-shirt, which was bizarre to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. But they have released a raft of new T-shirts, though, over the last few days, which is all good. And I think they released 5, potentially 6. I can't remember, but we have we got details of at least 4 of them here. So the first one is, when I first saw this one, I thought this was a reissued one because I'm sure that I've seen this before somewhere. It's the Weeping Angel T-shirt, so it's the statue reaching out, and it's got Blink and You're Dead big logo above and below the Weeping Angel. So all of these are listed as pre-orders, by the way. But for some reason, I just thought that was a reissue, and I don't know why.
It does look quite familiar, to be honest, yeah.
So anyway, that's available at forbiddenplanet.com as a pre-order. When does this come out? It comes out not till September.
Oh, right.
But you'll be pleased to know, mate, they've knocked a couple of quid off the price for that one. So instead of 18 quid, it's now 16, so $15.99.
Slightly better.
And that's exclusive to FP. The next one is one that I really like, actually. I'm going to pre-order this one. This is the Bad Wolf TARDIS that glows in the dark.
Thought you'd like that one.
Yeah, it looks really cool. So this one is, you'll be unhappy to hear, this is back up to $17.99.
Yes, because of that glow paint.
Glow in the dark doesn't come cheap, mate.
No.
You
got to pay for these things.
The design is very, very cool, though. It's the TARDIS sticking out of this round circle with some Gallifreyan circles on it. It's got the warp text across the top, which looks really cool. But when you look at it in the daytime, it's just the TARDIS, just it's white design. But then when you look at it at nighttime or when the lights are out, the windows glow green, and then you see Bad Wolf in bright green letters across the front, and there's like a radial pattern coming out of the light at the top as well. So that looks really, really cool. I'm up for that one.
I can just imagine being at the BFI and you sitting next to me wearing it, and all the lights go down and there's just you glowing next to me in that blimmin' T-shirt. We're like, oh God, cover it up, Gary. I can't see the screen.
So I'm always slightly dubious about glow in the dark merch because you never know how effective it is.
Especially Funko Pops.
Funko Pops, yeah.
I've got a couple of glow in the dark and they are rubbish.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They don't glow at all. Get more glow off a matchstick.
I had one piece of merch that I actually took to a charity shop the end of last year because it was ridiculous. It was the big Titan glow in the dark Weeping Angel Statue of Liberty. Yeah. And it never bloody worked. It never. It never worked. So I took that to the charity shop. Anyway, the next T-shirt is the 13th Doctor costume T-shirt in the berry colour. Like that sort of off-red maroony type of colour with the multicoloured striped across the front.
Yeah.
I think the Doctor wore that one in the episode Rosa, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
it's
what I'm thinking,
early on.
Yeah.
That one has been reduced as well to $15.99. You'll be happy to know. And that one is not an FP exclusive. FP are just buying that one. So the one I mentioned before, the glow-in-the-dark Bad Wolf TARDIS T-shirt, that one and this one, they're not exclusive to FP. So you can order them. You probably have to find them at Amazon or the other FP maybe. And then the last one is the thing called Pting is the slogan on the T-shirt with a big image of the Pting busting. Well, it looks like it's busting through the wall or busting out of the T-shirt, so to speak. And the text is like the very old school Hammer horror. It's got that Hammer horror vibe, the old horror style text font, whatever. And that one is only $15.99. You'll be happy to hear. And that one is a Forbidden Planet exclusive.
I actually, despite my feelings about the Pting, I love the T-shirt. I love the style of it. I think that's really, really cool. The horror, like you said, the old, very sort of retro style.
Yeah.
I might actually get one of them.
Oh, God.
I know it's a Pting. If you'd have said to me they've got a Pting t-shirt going out, I'd told you, yeah, well, won't pick it. But I actually quite like the style of that. I've got to be honest, looks pretty cool. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed as well, which is kind of curious.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Curious, very curious. Is these Forbidden Planet exclusives? Some of them say a UK convention special only available at Forbidden Planet. I'm thinking, what UK convention? Is there something we don't know about? Is there something coming up, do you think? Because this is obviously a new T-shirt. So you're thinking, okay, so it's obviously not an old UK convention that it's from. So what's this UK convention special thing all about? There doesn't seem to be any info on that. I'm just wondering if we're going to get a new, what was it we had? Doctor Who Festival or whatever the other thing was. Doctor Who. Unlikely, but that is curious, isn't it? UK convention special, it says.
Yeah, I imagine it. Oh, well, who knows, mate? Who knows?
It's got to be something to that.
Yeah, UK convention special, only available at FP. I'd imagine it's either, well, the two large conventions. It's either going to be the Showmasters one in July, London Film and Comic Con, or it's the MCM one at the Excel. It probably those two, because I don't think Forbidden Planet normally have a stall at most conventions, but reading this, it sounds like they might have at one of those conventions. It sounds like they might be branching out a wee bit.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what that's all about.
Cool.
So I'll be wearing Pting, you'll be glowing in the dark.
For God's sake.
Yeah.
Out of the 4 T-shirts that we've just gone through, the really cool Weeping Angel one, the very, very cool Bad Wolf TARDIS, not so much the berry.
No, not that,
Dr.
not the
Costume.
berry. Not...
And then the Pting one, you've chosen the Pting one. Out of those 3 very cool designs.
Yeah. I like the style of it. Yeah. I know. Shocking.
Righto. On that bombshell, it is time to move on to our review. Dude, yes, what is it?
It is. So, Sarah Jane Adventures are back, and we're on Series 2. Not sure which episode we're up to now. Somewhere in the middle. But, I know it's called. I just don't know where it is in the series. But it's the Mark of the Berserker.
I think it's evil. Make it stop! What are you then? The more you use it, it talks to you.
Hello, son.
Dad? What the hell are you doing here?
Come on. We shouldn't have secrets.
Dad? I saved the world.
Jacob West found something here, something alien. Jacob!
No! I'm your best friend.
You're a freak. He wants to take him away. He wants to take my baby.
She's going to see the pendant. She's going to see everything.
What are you doing? Get off me. Who are you?
This whole world will do as I say.
Clyde's dad.
That tune gets stuck in your head, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Right, then, Mark of the Berserker. It was produced over 2 parts in the 3rd of November and then the second part on the 10th of November. It was written by Joseph Lidster, directed by Joss Agnew, and obviously produced and overseen by Russell T. Davis, etc. Stars the normal SJA Attic crew for Series 2.
Yeah.
Although we do have a nice cameo in this one from our Series 1 Attic crew member.
Yeah, that was a surprise, yeah.
Yeah, so Maria and Alan are back for a small scene. And the sort of story around this one is an alien pendant which gives its wearer the power to control other people is stolen from Sarah Jane's attic after it was placed there very safely by Rani. Luke and Rani enlist the help of Clyde's mum to track down Clyde and his father after they go walkabout after a big spending spree because he has the alien pendant, and it leads down to the docks or the quays, whatever, where the pendant takes full control of Paul and starts to transform him into a berserker, and Sarah Jane turns up at the last minute to save the day. Yes. So then, what did you reckon to this SJA story?
Well, I thought it was a belter of a 2-parter, this one. I thought it was great. Yeah, I really liked it, yeah. And I thought it was a really, starts off really dark and sinister as well. Really quite creepy.
Right.
Great music going on. We're never sure he'd done the music with FJA because never tells us on Wiki, but whoever did it was really good. And yeah, then it sort of goes into this backstory about Clyde's dad. So we kind of drifted away from the sort of main story for the second half of episode 1. And I thought, okay, and that was good. It was nice to see a bit of development there.
Right.
And then, yeah, I think that all came together really nicely in the second part. So whereas the last episode of Sarah Jane, but the one about the fortune teller and the stars and all that, we really liked part 1, but we felt it struggled in part 2.
Right.
I think this just sort of built and built and built. So I thought it was a really good 2-part of this. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. And I thought the performances were really good as well from the cast. It's a Sarah Jane Lite episode as well. It's a bit like the sort of Doctor Lite episodes we got, like Blink, where the Doctor's hardly in it. So Sarah Jane's hardly in this one. And it was only towards the end of episode 2 that I really suddenly thought, hang on, we haven't seen Sarah Jane for ages. I hadn't sort of really noticed because I was quite wrapped up in the story. And to be fair, the kids in this are really holding their own in terms of taking the story along. So I didn't really notice Sarah Jane wasn't in it much until sort of the end of part 1. And she makes a couple of brief appearances and obviously comes in at the end. So
Right.
yeah, she's hardly in this 2-parter at all. And you might think that affects it badly, but actually it works really well, I think. I mean, I loved it when she came in at the end, and she's just as cool as a cucumber, comes in and sort of just to make sure everything turns out okay. So yeah, I thought this was a really good 2-parter. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. What did you think?
Just before I get on to my thoughts, the incidental music composer is a guy called Sam Watts.
Sam Watts.
Sam
okay.
Watts, yes. And he did a lot of, if not all of, the incidental music for Sarah Jane.
Right.
He's done a few other things, but most notably was Wizards versus Aliens back in 2014. So he hasn't had a super busy career. He's done, quite a few things, but Sarah Jane and Wizard versus Aliens are the things he's most known for.
Yeah, because there was also the other guy, wasn't there? Ben Foster's brother, I think, who'd done the music for Thunderbirds. I think he might have done a little bit as well, but
yes. Yeah.
I can't think of his name. But yeah, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so Sam Watts. Anyway, The Mark of the Potato, I thought this was a cracking story.
Yeah, really good.
Really good. And it was another example of just being blown away by the maturity for a kid's TV show. Some of the themes that it deals with, because this is all centered around Clyde, this episode really. And some of the themes that it deals with is, I mean, there are two scenes that really almost bring a lump to your throat. The first one is when Clyde's dad turns up at their house. Luke and Clyde have just, they've had the lads kind of sleep over and everything's cool in the morning, having brekkie.
Yeah.
And his dad turns up, Alan. No, not Alan. What's his name? Paul. Paul turns up. And Clyde's really kind of knocked for six, isn't he? And right off the bat, he's asking questions like, why did you leave us? What's going on? All that sort of thing. So for a 15-year-old, and it's quite telling, isn't it, that they purposely made Paul get his age wrong to say, just to show or to emphasize that he's been an absent father and he doesn't even know how, the correct age of his son. So for a 15-year-old, that's like a smack in the face for your long lost dad just to turn up out the blue. And then the other scene, which really had me close to the edge, mate, was the scene at the very end where Clyde's just having a conversation with Sarah Jane up in the attic. It's so heartfelt, but it just, I don't know, it just, those two scenes to me, especially that last scene in the attic, just screams to me that it's far beyond a CBBC program for kids.
Yeah. Oh, it's got a lot of heart, this series. I think that's why I'm enjoying it so much. Yeah, I know. I was sort of feeling quite emotional at the end as well, because it's a really nice sort of backstory for Clyde as well. It's I think it's used brilliantly in terms of the way they weave in the sort of, the fun element of the, what the dad does with this strange alien object. So there's all that stuff, which is really cool, and loads of action and chasing and stuff. But they also sort of intertwine the sort of father-son relationship that's very sort of strange really well, without sort of being too jarring, if you like.
Yeah,
It really sort of flows nicely side by side, those two storylines. And those guys work really well together. Daniel Anthony, who played Clyde, and Gary Beadle.
Beadle,
played the dad, Paul. Those two just seem to get really well because Paul's quite a sort of cocky kind of guy and a bit of a sort of lad himself. And, so you can see actually where Clyde gets that side of him from.
Yeah.
And it's all a bit of a front because obviously when he's just with his mum, Luke's teasing him because he does the cooking and all that. So he's like, it's all a bit of bravado. So it's really nice because you can see that. You think, oh yeah, he gets that from his dad, and that's just a lovely bit of storytelling. I think you can totally see Clyde's character in his mum and dad's characters as well. If you know what I mean, they're not just there as that's his mum and dad. You actually do feel like they might be because of the way they are. And I thought that was really nice as well.
Yeah, it was nice. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think this is one episode for sure, because in some of the earlier Sarah Jane stories, especially in series 1, they sometimes, especially the first couple, they played it exactly as it was meant to be perceived, and that was just a fun kids program that was set in the world of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And there are the odd episode, and what was the one that where Sarah Jane, hold on a second, there was an episode from series 1 that was quite emotional as well. And this one is of a similar ilk, and it just seems like it's not all about the aliens and saving the world and all that stuff. This one's more about issues closer to home. Yeah. And although Clyde goes through that stuff with his dad and says, I saved the world, and that's the whole reason why he takes his dad to the attic and so on, there wasn't much in the way. This didn't feel like the Earth is under threat and it's down to Sarah Jane and the attic crew to save the day. So it's all about running corridors and, the typical stuff and sonic lipsticks and all that lot. This is very much about, and like you said earlier, this is a Sarah Jane Lite story. And I think it benefits so much from Sarah Jane not being in this story, because I think if she would have been in this throughout, it might have come across as a bit preachy, because Sarah Jane, although she's very good at offering advice and all that stuff, there are times where if you have that too much, you don't want to feel like kids are being preached to.
Yeah,
if you know
I know
what
you mean.
So it's really good that she just pops up in the beginning at the end, and it literally is down to Clyde, Rani and Luke to pull this one out of the bag, because things are not going well for Clyde, because his dad's manipulating him. He's using the pendant to erase his memories of his friends and his mum.
That seems really harsh, isn't it? When he says, "Forget your mum," I'm like, "Oh, what?" Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I just think overall it's a really good, grounded, emotional story, and is much better off. And I don't mean that in a negative way or a disrespectful way, that Sarah Jane's not in it very much. I just think that the story really benefits from her not being in it.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, it's strange because we love the character of Sarah Jane, and we love seeing Elizabeth Sladen. Every time we watch one of these, we always say how good she is, and she is. But in the nicest way, I didn't miss her in this, because I think the cast really came to the forefront and they carried it well. All the cast carried this really, really well. So, yeah, I mean, I loved it when she came back in at the end, but I wasn't thinking, oh, thank goodness, here's Sarah Jane. It wasn't, I was thinking, oh, here she is. It was, so I didn't miss her in the nicest way. Do you know what I mean? I thought the cast did a great job just carrying the story themselves, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
And are you still really up for doing Sarah Jane? Because I don't know about you, but I really look forward to the weeks that come round where we're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Sarah Jane.
Yeah. I'm really pleased we started reviewing these, because I'm loving it. It reminds me very much. I keep thinking as well, like, I think we've said this before, that every time we've watched one, I don't think we've had any story where we didn't enjoy it. Even ones that, some have been better than others, obviously, but there's not been any story yet where we've come on and said, no, that wasn't a good story. Even I think I enjoyed the last one more than you, but you still really enjoyed it. What was it called? The fortune teller one, Secrets of the Stars.
Oh, yeah.
So I gave it a 7.5. You gave it 6.5. But even that one where you thought it was, not as good as the others, you still really enjoyed it, didn't you? It's a fun sort of hour of entertainment. And I keep thinking, I hope that continues. It reminds me of the Tennant era where I kept thinking it was so consistent. Even if there was a story that I thought, no, it wasn't that good, but I still, if you put it on now, Fear Her, for example, not great. You put it on the TV, I'd still quite happily watch it. It's not one where I go, let's bung on Sleep No More. No, thanks. No, I have no desire to watch that ever again.
Yeah.
So the first episode in the Tennant era where I can remember thinking like that was the first time I've really felt it was a little under par was Planet of the Dead, I think, the one in the sand dunes with the bus. That was the first time I ever remember thinking, oh, that wasn't very good. You know what I mean? Up until that point, I kind of thought I could say to any friend or family member who's never watched Doctor Who, just sit down. It's always good. You can enjoy it. But that one, I remember sitting with my partner and thinking that wasn't up to scratch. And I keep waiting for that with Sarah Jane, thinking they're all so consistent, Are we ever going to get to an episode where we say, oh man, I didn't enjoy this week's, or this week's wasn't very good, or I don't know. It has that same heart as the Tennant era to me, where I just think it's got a level of quality that they've managed to sustain. In fact, if anything, they seem to be getting better. Like you said, the first series was really enjoyable, perhaps slightly more kiddie, and they've built on that and brought in some more sort of adult themes, and it just seems to get better for me every week. So yeah, I'm loving this sort of Sarah Jane ride that we're on at the minute. Absolutely loving it.
Yes, and I bet there was something else that you were happy about in this story.
Something else.
Yes. Not only did Sarah Jane, well, she was in it a couple of times, but there was another character that was absent. We didn't hear the big fanfare.
Oh,
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did get the big fan. That was a funny moment, though. There was a couple of really nice. I mean, there always is, but there's a couple of really nice moments of humour in this, and that was one of them. Was when they tried to activate Mr. Smith, and you get the answer phone message. He's like, "Please, Mr. Smith cannot come out now." I'm pleased. I thought, that's a lovely moment as well. So yeah, we didn't get to see him this week, and that's good. Again, it adds something different. It'd have been so easy for them to have gone up to the attic, showed him the thing, he solves it, calls Sarah Jane, but they went down a different route. And I thought, again, it's good story writing rather than sort of very lazy, predictable story writing, if you like. So yeah, that was good. But that was a nice moment.
It was, yeah. And I thought it was, they did it in a pretty funny way, like you said. It's the voicemail.
And her little notes as well, Sarah Jane's little notes everywhere. I said no, and they get to all that lovely little touches like that. Yeah.
Little touches, yeah. Okay, and in terms of story then, as we rattle through the story, I did like the way it was written, in that it felt like they were going to really have to pull something out the bag, but for a different reason. So in some of the other episodes, it was it's almost up to the wire that they saved the day. Looking back to series 1, where the moon's about to crash into the earth, and that sort of thing, and they saved the day sort of at the last minute. It seems like it was the same theme, but it was more about friends saving friends.
More contact, more family.
Yeah. Which is really cool. So they stuck to the formula. It was still a threat, because if Clyde's dad had have taken Clyde and gone off, he was in like full berserker mode. He'd completely transformed pretty much. Yeah. And so that would have been pretty bad, if he had have gone off and they didn't stop him. That would have been bad. And the other thing was, they seem to be sticking to this theme, don't they, of mind control in series 2. Seems to be, there's a few episodes where somebody's mind has been overtaken, like the last one, Secrets of the Stars, where the guy, mind controls a lot of people. And you have the ticket master or the clown in the Day of the Clown that controls people, all that stuff. So it seems to be a theme for series 2. And poor old Clyde, he's another episode where he's had his mind controlled or stuff changed, So I like that.
I guess that is one of the other things I'm really loving about Sarah Jane, is that they seem to come up with some really nice ideas, like this thing about having a charm that once you hold it, it can make the person you're talking to do whatever you want. Yeah. Such a simple idea, but I love stuff like that. And Sarah Jane, so far that we've watched, just seems to be full of these clever little, ideas, rather than it just being the same old aliens land, they're going to take over, let's run down a corridor. You know, it's just very interesting ideas. And again, I thought this was a really nice one. The fact that, you know, just by saying the words, they sort of do stuff. So poor old, what's he called? Rani's dad, when he has to do the press ups. I was like, oh no, it was sort of funny, but also you were like, feel sorry for him as well. You're like, oh no, he's going to die in a minute if he has to do like 1 billion press ups, because he couldn't stop, could he? Yeah. You know, the whole thing of being controlled. And I don't know, I just thought the whole ideas that seem to be flowing through Sarah Jane. It's, again, it comes back to what I just said. It feels like the writers are really trying to come up with interesting and new ideas rather than just going down the standard route, which, to be honest, they so easily could do if they wanted to, you know. But it seems like there's a lot of love and effort goes into Sarah Jane from what we've watched so far. Like, let's try this, and oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, you know, interesting concepts rather than just alien invasions every week and stuff like that. So that's the other thing I'm just absolutely loving about it.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. That's the cool
Brimming
thing about
with ideas.
It is, absolutely, yeah. And I think that's why we're enjoying it so much, because it's just that, like I said a minute ago, it's that there's a formula that they kind of stick to. But they inject all of these other ideas and how the characters interact within those ideas. It's just so watchable. I never reach for my phone.
No, that's true. I can honestly say I didn't look at my phone at all during this two-parter.
Yeah, and if anything, I'm like, shall I watch the next one? Because when the next time trailer comes
I know,
up,
the trailers.
Yeah, I'm like, save it for the next review. But in terms of the humour.
I was just going to say the humour is on such a good level as well, because this is primarily aimed at sort of kids' family, and it does, it does land really well. It doesn't feel childish to me, the humour in this. You know what I mean? Like the bit I love was with Clyde and his dad, where they come out and what is it? Clyde's dad's winding up Rani's dad. It's just before he makes him do the press ups, and he says something to him, and he's like, "Oh yeah," he says, "Oh, he loves school. He's always talking about you." And he's saying how good you are as the headmaster. He's like, "Is he really?" And they're like, "No." And they both start laughing. And just the level of humour makes me laugh. I don't sit there thinking, oh, it's a bit childish. But you know what I mean? They've got such a good level of getting the sort of kids and adult, right, really. Yeah.
And that also links into the emotional stuff as well that I mentioned earlier.
It does, yeah, absolutely.
They haven't pushed it too far to the point where kids won't understand it. But at the same time, I felt anyway that even adults, because it almost brought a tear to my eye, that last scene with Sarah Jane and Clyde. So,
me too. Yeah.
And there was a couple of nice references as well. So the scene where they don't know what to do, they can't get hold of Sarah Jane. So Luke and Rani are, they're sort of stuck. So they call Maria and Alan, who are now living in America. Is that right? They went to America, didn't they?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, and some nice references there about UNIT. So Alan has to hack into the UNIT servers so that he can get the information on the pendant itself. And then they also use it to hack the sat-nav, don't they, in Clyde's mum's
That's it, yeah.
car. They sort of download the information to it and stuff. So little touches like that are really cool, because it's not in your face. We don't see big logos of UNIT on Alan's screens or anything. It's not like it's rammed down your throat. It's there, and obviously as Doctor Who fans you would know what UNIT is, but even if you weren't a Doctor Who fan, if this was your entry point into Sarah Jane, you still wouldn't sit there scratching your head, because you get that little explanation, don't you? It's Maria. She's like, oh, it's United, and so it's still a cool thing to have, but it's not a deal breaker. If you hadn't have watched Doctor Who before, you wouldn't pause it and think, I have to go and look up what UNIT is to understand what's going on.
Yeah. And how cool was that, seeing those guys come back? I had no idea they were going to pop up in this episode, and I just thought, oh, that is really nice. Just to, and I bet the actors appreciated it as well, because obviously, the girl who played, Yasmin Page, who played Maria, went off to do college or uni or something, didn't she? So she probably didn't want to leave the series, but how nice to still be included in it. And we always liked her dad as well, didn't we? Always thought they were fun together, those two. So when they popped up, like when Luke first said, oh, I know who can help us with this, I was thinking, who? And then he's like, Maria and her dad. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, how lovely to have them just come back for a little cameo in this episode. Just brilliant. Just to remind us that they haven't forgotten her. Do you know what I mean? Because very often in storytelling, once characters leave a series, sometimes they're never mentioned again. Like poor old Aunt Vanessa from Logopolis, shrunken down. I think Tegan mentions her once. It's just lovely that they, it shows that the characters still remember Maria. They're fond of Maria. They still include her in stuff. And when they popped up again, I thought that was great.
It was actually, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And we also had a couple of little mentions of other little tiny things. So Clyde's dad, Paul, mentions, is it something about those Dalek things?
That's right. I noticed that.
The Daleks, that was cool. And also a very small one is that Sarah Jane tells them that she's visiting a place called Tarminster. And Tarminster would have been the place in the Terror of the Autons.
Mm. Which I didn't pick up on, I'll be honest with you.
No,
but
I didn't.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I absolutely didn't pick up on, I didn't remember this at all, was that when the Harold Saxon thing from the Tennant era, the promotional website that they put out for that whole thing, Lucy Saxon's dad was Lord Cole of Tarminster.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so old Tarminster, is knocking around a few.
Did not notice. Yeah, it's interesting.
References.
Didn't pick up on that at all. But I love little nuggets like that.
Little nuggets, yeah.
Yeah.
And did you also feel that you would be the same? When Clyde takes his dad up to the attic, would you be the same? Because he goes in there and he's sort of awestruck by it all. He's like, look at all, because at first he thinks it's bogus, doesn't he? And it's not until Clyde gets the little holographic email sort of picture message thing up. I would be exactly the same. After that point, he's like awestruck. He's like, whoa, all this stuff. I would be exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was nice as well, because I was thinking it makes sense to me that Clyde would share this with him as well, because, he starts, once all the frostiness has sort of disappeared to him and his dad, he starts to sort of want to get to know him, and he's probably bursting to share this with someone. So who better than his dad? So he would, I think, say to him, Dad, this is what I've been doing. This is what you've been missing. Like, you left me, but since you left me, I've been saving the world. So I was thinking he would tell his dad that, and he would want to share it. And it made absolute sense to me that he would A, tell him all about it, and B, then have to try and prove it to him. Because I think you would, if you were that 50-year-old kid and your dad comes back and, you want to try and reconnect and you want to show him, like, you think, this is what you've been missing, Dad. Look what I've been doing, sort of thing. So, again, it worked so well in terms of the plot and storyline, I thought. And obviously his dad being a bit of a geezer, he's going to, take something.
Of course.
Like, you could see that thing glowing. Again, it all just worked really nicely in terms of the story, I thought.
Yes. No, I agree. Yeah. I do want to touch on the opening scene before we talk about characters, because that was really creepy and really well done.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so it starts with the teacher that's featured a couple of times now. What's his name? Mr. Cunningham, I think. He's holding detention for a few people, and one of the kids is a kid called Jacob. Is that right? Jacob?
Yeah, yep. Jacob.
So he's the guy that found the pendant, first of all, down in some muddy field somewhere at a construction site, and he's had it and he's used it for his own gains, and he's found it quite funny. But now he's starting to get a bit of flack for it. The other kids just call him a bit of a weirdo and a freak and stuff.
Yeah.
So in that detention, he silences them quite creepily. So he yells at them, shut up. And then the kids find that they can't talk anymore. It's a real creepy moment.
Yeah.
And then he freezes them on the spot. They can't move. And then the teacher gets silenced as well, because the teacher gets involved, and Jacob tells him to shut up, and, he can't talk. So, and then you got Rani, who's waiting for her dad, because, her dad's obviously the headmaster. So she's hanging around and she witnesses that. And that's how she gets the pendant. So I thought the opening scene and the lead up into the main part of the story was really well done. Very creepy.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought it was a great intro. And I thought it was going to centre more around Jacob as well. He seemed like, because he's so prominent in that intro, I thought it was going to be about him. And obviously it's not. It's just that he's introducing the idea of the pendant. And did you think... so there's the bit at the beginning when he starts to sort of go berserker, and then there's the end bit where Paul, Clyde's dad, goes berserker, where their eyes change to that white.
Yeah.
And now I know, me and you have said this before. We used to get really freaked out by the 70s TV show, The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, yeah,
And the bit that freaked us out was when he used to lift his head up and have those crazy white eyes.
Yeah, it's
when he
horrible.
was in mid-transition. It was horrible. To this day, it is so freaky. That reminded me so much of that. And it freaked me out in the same way. I was like, oh no, they're turning, they're going berserker. But yeah, that reminded me so much of the 70s Hulk thing in a really good way. I loved it. Yeah.
Yes, no, I agree. It's freaky. And those eye lenses, they always freak me out. Yeah, it's horrible.
Especially when the dad was going berserker at the end. He's really sort of changing. And it was done really well, I thought.
Yeah, when he sees himself in the car rearview mirror.
Oh, yeah. Roar.
Yeah, and he doesn't see, he hasn't changed, but he sees himself as that with the eye lenses. Oh, it's freaky. Yeah.
The other little reference I thought you might take away from it as well was the whole concept of when they say something, the person repeats it and then does it. So it reminded me a bit of the Star Wars of, these are not the droids you're looking for.
Oh, right.
These are not the droids we're looking for. It reminded me a little bit of that. Everything they said, they repeated it and believed it,
Yeah, a bit of the Force going on. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of that. So
No, it's good. Let's talk about some characters. What did you think to... so we had... so Rani's mum's not in this one, but her dad features in it. So there are a couple of scenes that I found quite funny. The first one was, he's a bit of a nosy Parker. So when Clyde and Clyde's dad are coming out of Sarah Jane's place, he's straight over the street, what's going on? You shouldn't be in here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, really, because Clyde is he's been swept up in the whole emotional thing of his dad turning up. And he's, so he's a bit more confident and he's happy because his dad's there and stuff. But he really doesn't do himself any favours with Rani's dad because he doesn't like him much anyway.
No.
Because earlier on when he says to Rani, where are you going then? And she's on the way out. I'm going to see Luke and Clyde. He's like, oh, Clyde. And he thinks that Clyde's trouble.
He's got a downer on him, yeah.
Yeah, so Clyde doesn't do himself any favours because Paul doesn't wipe his memory at all. All he does is get him to do the endless push-ups, press-ups, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And also, just a scene at the very end where he just collapses. His T-shirt's run through.
And he pours the water over himself. Oh, yeah. I felt the relief for him, I think, in that scene. I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. One thing that was a little bit cringy to watch, but he played it fairly well, I suppose, is when Rani finds the pendant early on in the story and she gets him to bark like a dog and hop on one foot.
Oh, yeah.
So that was okay. Yeah. Yes. What do you think to Clyde's mum, Carla?
Yeah, I recognise her. She used to be in a sketch show called Little Miss Jocelyn. Don't know if you remember that. It wasn't particularly great, so I recognised her straight away. And I thought actually she was quite fun in it. Initially, I thought she's going to be a bit annoying because I think I was associating her with some of the characters she used to do in a sketch show, if you like. But no, I think by the end of it, I was quite liking her actually, and that's a great little scene at the end where just her and Clyde are talking.
Right.
But because I was thinking, well, she's accepted this alien thing very easily, and she's going to remember all this. And then, of course, Clyde's still holding the pendant. So without realising, he's sort of saying to his mum, oh, you should just forget about all this, mum, and all that sort of stuff. And not realising that she will then do it because he's holding the pendant. So that's a lovely little bit of story writing. She's like, yeah, I should forget about all this. What are we doing here? And all that. So that was, again, just a brilliant little moment. Nice way to just wrap everything up, move the story on. And I thought she was really good in those little scenes. So, yeah, I thought she was all right. I wonder if we're going to get to see more of her, actually.
Yeah, she did come across fairly convincingly as really worried about Clyde.
Well, I liked it when she was being the mum. She's like, if he better answer his phone to me and all this sort of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Just those moments where it's like proper typical mum stuff. But also she was you could tell she was sort of put out by his dad turning up out the blue and all that jazz. So fairly convincing with that stuff.
Yeah, she's more, I gotta say, she is slightly more, a bit like Rani's mum. She does slightly play it more comedic, which can be a bit, but I think, again, it was on that sort of level of being all right. She wasn't too over the top. So, thought she was all right.
What about Maria and Alan then? To me, it felt like they not really
never been away.
Yeah,
it was like seeing two old friends, wasn't it? It's like, oh, it's Maria and Alan. Yeah, no, they were great, I thought, in their little cameo.
Right back in, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, totally.
No, that's good. And Yeah, that was what surprised me the most. I thought, are they going to change their hairstyles? Are they going to change, are they going to try and put on like some kind of slight American accent because they've been over there for a while now? No, it was just like they had been in it.
Never
yesterday.
been away.
Yeah, it's
like
good.
they were still in the studio waiting. Oh, we need you back. Yeah.
What about Rani and Luke then? Because they seem to pair off in this one for most of it. What do you reckon?
I think Rani's really coming up to the fore as being a really strong character. Actually, I'm really liking. Who's the what's she called? Rani.
Angie Mahindra.
Yeah, I think she's great. She's really sort of taken the role and made, it's as if she was always there because she's only just come into this series, really. I think this is the fourth story in the series too. So she's still quite new, but I thought she was really strong in this. I thought she was really good. Luke was good. He's always seems to take a bit of a back seat. I think it's because Clyde and Rani, they seem stronger characters, more rounded. I still think Luke, bless him, Tommy Knight, just they haven't given him much meat on the bones, I think, to work with. So he sometimes gets a little bit lost. But I think there were some nice scenes of him and Clyde in this. And there's a lovely moment when, Rani's dad's doing the push-ups and Luke just goes over to him, like really concerned, like just in his expression, he doesn't say anything. So I think both of them were really good, basically. But Rani is definitely shining through as a strong lead character. I thought she was really good.
Yeah, she is. She's definitely strong. And I know what you mean about her and Clyde being the stronger ones, and Luke.
Yeah.
Kind of good. Yeah, because he's a bit. I mean, it was good in this one actually because he didn't really come across as a bit wet and down in the dumps all the time. He was actually okay for most of it, which is good because I mean the previous stories he's been a bit of a wet blanket the whole time and.
Yeah.
But down in dumps. But this one, he was actually okay. There was a couple of moments he was like it, but for the most part, it was all right. But I know what you mean. Rani's very strong, and it's like she's been in the Attic crew for forever, it feels like. And there's that really nice moment as well that because girls can be quite funny in terms of, I don't know what the phrase to use is, like the queen bee kind of phrase, Maria was like the girl who ran. Or no, she was in like the main girl, if you like, in the Attic crew. And so when they meet each other, even though it's just video, they say, "Oh, you must be Rani, Maria," that sort of thing.
I see. Yeah,
you know what I mean? They actually they greeted each other really nicely, and there was no, "Oh, who's this girl taking my spot?" kind of vibe.
There was none of that Sarah Jane and Rose competitiveness.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
No, I think Rani's great. I'm really liking her character so far in this series. I really like Luke as well. He is really likable. I think he just gets a bit sort of overshadowed by the other two.
Yes.
But he is really, he's really likable.
Yeah. And then Clyde's dad, then so Paul Langer, Gary Beadle.
Where have I seen him before?
He was in EastEnders for a few years.
Oh,
he was in that years ago, but
that's probably where I know him from. Yeah,
probably that's where most people. I think he's been in a few things otherwise, but I think he was in the program Hustle for a while.
Oh yeah, I used to like Hustle. Yeah,
but otherwise, I think he's most well known for
Silent Witness. Probably got killed in that. Yeah, I thought he was really good as Clyde's dad. As I said, I just love the way they wrote him to be a little bit like Clyde, so you could sort of relate him to being his dad. And I think the possession scenes he played in quite well as well. He was pretty creepy when he was going berserker. So I think he was great, and all the stuff in the car, and again, lovely humorous moments when he goes and says to the car salesman, "You're going to give me this car for free. I'm going to give you this car for free," and off they go. And
move along.
Yeah,
move along.
Yeah, move along. So he worked really well, I think. With Clyde as well. I just thought they acted great together. I bought into the father-son relationship. It didn't feel forced or awkward or unrealistic. So I think he was, good casting. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was a couple of moments where I thought, oh, okay, somebody hasn't been on a set for a while.
Oh, really? Was it?
Yeah, it was just like, I think that's just his way of acting though, I think. Because he was when my mum used to watch EastEnders years ago. I remember watching him in that, and he was kind of similar. Where the way he delivers some of his lines, I think he's just a bit matter of fact about a lot of things.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
So when Clyde is visibly upset about something, he does this sort of go-to thing where he's like, all right, what's going on?
Oh, I'm with you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's like, go on in. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. You know, he has this kind of, it's almost like he's not reacting in the way that he should to Clyde being upset about something instead of, you know, adjusting his tone to be more sympathetic or loving sort of thing, which I guess is kind of the point, because he's not really a loving father, is he? He's just a bit of a, but anyway, yeah, I mean, he was good overall. And he certainly, when he was turning into the Berserker, he was very convincing.
Yeah. No, I totally take your point there. Yeah, I do know what you mean.
And Clyde then. So Daniel Anthony, I think he had a great performance in this one.
I think it's the best performance we've seen from him. And I mean, he's been good anyway, all the way through the series, I think, but he really upped his game, I think, in this one. I think when we've talked about this in other stories with certain actors and stuff, I think he looked at the script and realized this was centered around him, and he's really grabbed it and gone with it. And I think, you know, like we've said before, sometimes you think, who do we say about recently? You know, they've read the script and they should have really taken the script and gone with it, and haven't. But in this one, I think he did.
Yeah,
I think he gave a really good performance. The emotion from him was really believable. I just, everything that was happening to him, I again totally bought into it, and I felt sorry for him at times. I thought he was funny when he needed to be funny. We saw loads of different layers to his character. Again, as I said, like the bravado when he goes home and his mum's embarrassing him in front of Luke, and we saw the softer side to him that he tries to hide by being all, you know, I'm a bit of a lad. And so he gave a range of different emotions in this, and they were all really good. And I just thought it was a great story for him, and he really did act well in it, I thought. I really liked Clyde in this. Yeah. Really liked him.
No, I echo your thoughts on that. Yeah,
especially the emotional stuff at the end with his mum, and then later with Sarah Jane, just brilliant.
Yeah, that scene at the end was really lovely, really nice. Yeah, and then Sarah Jane, the little bit that she was in it, you know, she's
hardly in it. Yeah,
just Sarah Jane. I think, in fact, I really liked her scene where she turns up at the dock, because I didn't see that coming. I don't know about you.
No, I didn't. No, didn't see it coming. No. And actually, what I love about it is she drifts in. She's so cool, Liz Sladen. She doesn't just come in and start waving the sonic lipstick and sorting it out. She comes in and says, "It's all right. I'm here just to oversee this. You guys know what to do."
Yeah.
And she doesn't sort of come in and just solve everything. And there you go, I'm the doctor, and I'm going to. She just lets them get on with it, but she's there if they need her. And I just thought that was absolutely the right way to do it. You know what I mean? Because I did think at one point she was just going to stroll up with a sonic lipstick, and there we go. It's all sorted. I think a bit like Capaldi at the end of Class, you know, just turns up, solves it, goes. She didn't do that. She just turned up as the sort of almost like mother-like figure, just to say, I'm here, but you guys know what to do. Yeah. You sort it out. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. And she had a bit of a teary moment at the end, you know, where Clyde quizzes her about her mum and dad. And she says, you know, they died when she was a baby. And then I know that's the forerunner into the next episode that we'll do next month. But just every time, I think we say this every time, and we probably will every time. But she's so consistent, you know. She's just Sarah Jane every time.
Yeah, lovely moments. And actually, that ending, even though she's only in that tiny little bit at the end, again, quite emotional. You're sort of thinking she gets that photograph out of her dad and just sort of strokes it, and even that, I'm thinking, it's just so brilliant. She's only in it for like 20 seconds at the end. And I noticed, it's only a small point, but I noticed that it was running over time. So normally these are 25 minutes and they're wrapped up, and it was sort of 26 minutes running and we were still in the story. And I thought, I love the fact that they haven't cut any of this. There's obviously enough story for it to warrant being, you know, because TV schedules can be quite strict. So it's like, no, you have to trim it because it has to be 25 minutes because otherwise the next program starts late. I just couldn't help but notice, and it's a tiny little point to make, but I love the fact that they just let it take its natural flow, if you know what I mean. And they didn't say, well, we've got to trim a minute and a half off of this because, you know, it's over 25 minutes sort of thing. But everything in it was needed. I think it just was great.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this was closer to 30 minutes actually.
It was, I just kept thinking, hang on, this is you know, it's still going and it's over 25 minutes. But yeah, in a good way, sort of thing. I wasn't sat there thinking, oh god, when's it going to end? It was absolutely the opposite. Actually, I was thinking, I love the fact we're still going.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, have you got any negatives about this story? Is there anything that you weren't keen on? Because we haven't really gone through any.
Do you know? I don't think I have. And actually, I hadn't even sort of really thought about it, because I do generally try and I generally make a list of both, so good and bad, so we can give a balanced review. In this one, all of my notes, I'm just looking at them now. And it's very subconsciously, I haven't sort of really, I just haven't noticed anything I didn't like about it, actually.
Yeah, the only couple of the bits for me were just a couple of the performances. And they weren't really bad. They were just, they weren't on par with some of the main cast and stuff. So the guy in the garage that Paul brainwashes to drive the Porsche away.
Yeah.
The kids in the detention at the start, and some of Rani's dad's little bits. I thought they were sort of very typical, and they're certainly not going to win any awards for acting, Some of it was a bit, yeah.
I know what you mean.
Other than that, though, can't really see any sort of glaring bad points about it. It was just a cracking story.
No, it's funny because even those performances you mentioned, they weren't to a standard that made me cringe, if you know what I mean. I absolutely know what you're saying. It's a bit like, yeah, they're not, they're not going to be doing Shakespeare next week at the Royal thing, but at the Globe. But they weren't cringy either. They weren't sort of in the forest of the night of sort of rolling my eyes, going, "Oh dearie me, they were bad," sort of thing. So yeah, I can kind of overlook all that. I just really enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, cool. Scores then. Scores on the doors.
Scores. Your turn. Yes, you.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this. Do I go with?
You're like me. See, this is why I'm glad you're going first, because I'm sort of torn between two.
I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I was torn between a 9 and an 8.5.
Well, I'm going with an 8.
You're going with an 8? Okay.
An 8. Yeah. I really, really enjoyed it. As I said, I can't really fault any of it, really. In terms of enjoyment, you could nitpick a few bits, I think, but just overall, I thought it was really good. 8 and a strong 8 as well. Don't really know what I'm knocking 2 points off. I guess just because it was a decent story and everything, but yeah, just overall, I thought it was very good. So a very strong 8.
A very strong 8. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I gave it an 8.5 because I just think it's a really good story, quite mature, quite emotional. Says a lot of things without saying the words, if you know what I mean. And just can't really find too much fault with it. However, I do still think that there are even more better stories to come from Sarah Jane. I really do.
And also, I can't sort of go into 9-10 territory, because I think I reserve that sort of absolutely top gold star, score for like a series final or so. It has to have that extra oomph to push it past an 8. So I think 8's sort of considered top of the sort of really good stories, but anything above that, it's got to be like a series final or something exceptional, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree.
To be a 9 or a 10 for me. So an 8's a very good score for it.
Yes. What did our lovely listeners think? Our regular reviewer from Down Under, Sammy, had this to say.
Hey, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, The Mark of the Berserker. I'll be honest, it's not one of my favourite Sarah Jane Adventures stories. I don't like Clyde's dad, Paul. He reminds me of Ryan's dad in Resolution, except we get more time with Clyde's dad, and I like him a tiny fraction better than Ryan's dad because, unlike Ryan's father, he actually is important to the plot of the story. Chibnall, are you listening? Anyway, it's lovely to see Maria and her dad again. I thought, poor Rani's dad doing those push-ups. It's all right. Just not brilliant. I give it 6 Berserkers out of 10. Oh, and Mr. Jackson, be careful. Kate won't be pleased you hacked into unit. See ya.
No, Sammy, not as impressed as us on this one.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, though, Sammy.
Thanks, Sammy.
Over on Twitter, our writer Jordan Shortman said, one of the earliest SJA episodes I can vividly remember watching, and there were bits of it that terrified me. But once again, SJA proves its adultness in terms of its take of the father-son dynamic. I seem to remember Daniel Anthony being quite good, as were the rest of the kids.
He is very good in this, yeah.
Yes. TARDIS Grade said, this ep used to always be on repeat, so I became a bit sick of it. But after rewatching it, I was pleasantly surprised. Clyde and his dad are both good in this. The Pendant is quite a clever concept. Some nice little scenes, such as Maria's cameo. Not the worst of Series 2, but not the best. A 7.
7 already.
Jack at Hoovernier says, I love it. It's I've been watching SJ recently, and it's the first proper glimpse that we get into Clyde's family. Despite all this, it gives a reflection of the darker sides of society, knowing that some people would be this power hungry. 8.5. Liz Sladen gives a stunning performance. The Who Society, great story. Quite a dark SJA episode with all-round good acting and plot. Highly enjoyable, 8 out of 10.
Cool.
Chubby123 says, great story, different kind of story to most of SJA. Great ending, 7.5. Sarah Louise, Running Hoovian, says, brilliant storyline, perfect amount of scary moments and great performances by all. I really enjoyed this one, 8.5.
Cool.
And Rob Kelly says, I have vague memories about this one, but I can't remember seeing a bad SJA. I look forward to you guys jogging my memories. Well, hopefully we have done that, Rob. And you'll jump over for your DVDs. Over on Facebook, Joseph Howarth says, another darker episode. I'm sensing a theme here. This was another good one I kept seeing on CBBC. So far, I haven't found any episodes that I don't remember from the show. A very serious subject, beautiful bit of character development for Clive in general. Nice to see Maria and her dad again. Possibly one of my favourites from this series, a 9 out of 10. Chloe Anderson says, I really like this one. A slightly darker episode without being too intense. Nice how they linked Maria back into it due to Sarah Jane's absence. Overall, good episode, 8 out of 10. And Miles McKenzie says, a very enjoyable story. Love its more serious tone and is an amazing piece of character development for Clive. The whole team were amazing, as always, and a very nice comeback with Alan and Maria. Overall, I really love this one, 8.5.
Nice.
So the general consensus is an 8, I would say, on average.
And all positives, none negatives. And also the end trailer kind of picked up on Sarah Jane's dad, didn't it? It looked like, so like you, I was itching to move on to the next one. I thought, no, I'll save it. But that's nice, because I thought that might just been just bringing Sarah Jane into the episode. But it looks like it leads on to the next story. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to find out what that's all about.
Yes. So thank you very much, guys, for sending in your reviews on The Mask of the Berserker. Next week, buddy, we're travelling back to do a bit of jousting.
Yeah,
what
Luke's
have we got?
At the ready.
What have we got next week?
Ding, 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 ding. So, Fifth Doctor's story next week. One that I certainly haven't watched in billions of years. It's the King's Demons next week.
The King's Demons.
King's Demons, yeah.
It's only a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Not too bad. So we're expecting you lot to get...
I can't remember it at all.
We're expecting you lot to get your DVDs out. It's only 2 parts. We're going to be asking for your views on this, very royal and proper and 12th century historical. So that'll be next week. Until then, let's wrap for 223.
Alrighty.
Thank you for sticking with us through episode 223. It's been great talking through the Sarah Jane Adventures, The Mark of the Berserker. Love that story. Very, very cool. And let us know if you're up for any of these t-shirts from Forbidden Planet as well. I don't know what's going through Adam's mind with the whole Pting thing.
No, nor do I.
There we go. We shall see how that looks on Adam in person. We won't have it for Comic-Con in July, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll see it in your Christmas photos.
Yeah.
Next week, yes, The King's Demons, the Fifth Doctor story. Give that a watch. We'll be asking for your reviews on that. So look out for the social media posts that go out every Monday, with the exception of this week because I forgot and it went out on a Tuesday. But it's generally a Monday. So get your thoughts in for that. In the meantime, head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to every single episode of our show on there. Plus, you can link off to all of the social accounts. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Give us a like and a follow as we chat plenty of Doctor Who during the week. And also subscribe to the actual podcast itself on any podcast network that you prefer. And there's buttons on the website to link off to all of those things. And if you're an iTunes listener, if you could spare a minute for a review, that would be amazing because it helps us a lot. Also, check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag. Nip over to YouTube, search for The Geek's Handbag, give him a sub, and make sure you watch his recent review of the Crystal TARDIS. It looks very, very cool. Very cool indeed. So we will see you next week for episode 224. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...